Oh, that's really strange. Really strange. The I don't know if anyone's noticed, but the whole live setup on Facebook has changed. And I just started a video, and my cat wanted to go out, so I cancelled it. Went back and tried to upload the old version because it gives you that option of hi Helen, of having things how they used to be. But actually, it doesn't give you the option because it does say that in a few weeks, this is going to be the only version of live on Facebook, which is interesting, isn't it? We want to sometimes go back to the way things were, and it might feel like an option, but actually, it feels like next few weeks, yeah, almost adapting to whatever we're being shown and how we live our lives. Whether that's on Facebook or in general. So I thought I would just pop in and see how everyone is after the womb rites yesterday. And I know, Helen, obviously you weren't there, but also to check in how you are after the full moon and yeah, just what's been going on for people and just a quick hello. So I'll give it a minute or so just to see if anyone else comes in. And I've got my tea. Just have a little really conscious of slurping, of slurping my tea, of making too much of a swallow, making too much noise. Really conscious of that as I was drinking my tea there. So yeah, really interesting energies, things changing, almost us knowing that they're changing, being given a warning that they're changing, but not particularly wanting them to change, but also having to adapt and not wanting to make too much noise about that. So yeah, interesting, really interesting energies. So after the womb rites yesterday, when we were talking about seeing things from the whole wheel, the stories that I'd seen in relation to the rose and the bottle and my grandmother actually expanded today. And I dreamt of her last night, and it's all in the post that I shared in the group, but basically I dreamt of the grandmother energy coming in. Not just our grandmothers, sorry, I don't mean just, but not just the grandmothers, but the grandmother energy within us. And our views on that, and our views on stepping into that wisdom. You know, normally when you think of the elder energy, it can often be confused with having to be grown up, having to be no more fun and sat in a corner, you know, the old grandmother. It doesn't have to be that way. If anything, the older we get, one, we know time is running out, so we tend to enjoy life more. And two, we've learned from our experiences, and that doesn't mean we don't repeat them, but it often means that we can laugh at ourselves, which feels really important, just to have a smile at ourselves every now and then, and just to hold space for the changes that are occurring. So I took my dog for a walk just now, and I kept hearing the grandmother, and breaking it down like I always do when I play on words. What is the grandmother but a grandmother? That nurturing, that tough love sometimes, that ability to support ourselves to do things, to walk, but also be there as and when needed. And we can only be that for others when we're that for ourselves. So today, with the full moon and everything else, I really feel like just taking a moment to be the grandmother that you might need. What do you need in this moment? Changes are occurring, and changes will always occur. And we often cling to the way things are, and eventually we change, and eventually everything slots back into place. But it can be smoother, it can be easier, it can be nurturing. Very much like when you would breastfeed. What do? Skin to skin. We connect to our body. We make the environment as safe and as loving as we can. And we just nurture the changes that have occurred. That feels really important, because if we're not aware of what has occurred, we generally repeat the same over and over and over unnecessarily, although that's part of the journey. But also be just preparing yourself for whatever is going to come through and looking after yourself. So my Kuan Yin spray turned up today, and I love it. I just love it. It was a gift, and I just love it. I love the female on here, but I don't know if you can see it. I also love the fact that it's got the Om symbol. I don't think you can see it. The Om symbol at the top, and two feminines, two masters either side. And I just love it. I love the smell of it. I love the colour, everything about it. When I first sprayed it, it felt like it was too much. It felt like it was quite strong and overbearing. And there was a real message in that. When it comes to compassion and mercy, less is more. When it's very concentrated, compassion, mercy, love can be very concentrated. And when it's streamlined, less is more. Oh, thank you, Helen. Yeah, when it's streamlined, less is more, which helps us to show compassion and mercy for ourselves also. The other thing with it being overbearing, there's the assumption that it's a bit too much. Compassion isn't too much, especially not for the self, and nor is mercy. So that really came through with the spray. The spray comes without any words with it, which felt really relevant as well, because when I did use it, the first thing I received from Kuan Yin was there are no words. When we're in the realm of being held with true compassion and true mercy and forgiveness and love and connected to that grandmother energy, sometimes no words are needed. Sometimes it goes beyond words. Sometimes it just is. And that's a really beautiful energy. The last thing I noticed so far that is, with this spray is that it's called the signature blend. And one of the clear messages with that with Kuan Yin for me was to find our signature, to find our own mix and our own blend. Really, really important. The masters are coming through an awful lot lately. Yeah, with the same message of finding our own inner master, our own self-mastery. So with that in mind, I'm going to pull just one card overall collectively for the group, and then I'm going to make a move. It's from the Kuan Yin Oracle deck, the Wild Kuan Yin Oracle deck. Don't forget that wild in us. Yeah, don't forget that inner wild, that childlike energy, but also that strength and that innocence and that purity and that connecting to nature. Don't forget that passion, that femininity. So yeah, the Wild Kuan Yin Oracle. And I'm just going to pull a card collectively for the group. It's funny, I've got the little matchbox girl, the tail going over and over in my head. What's that about? Let me think. With the little matchbox story, I always found it intriguing that she was trying to sell, trying to use these matches to keep herself warm, looking at what she wanted, but there were people walking by and she could have sold the matches and made the money for what she wanted. So there's something in that, in perhaps utilizing our resources a bit more efficiently. And we can only do that by not focusing on what we haven't got, but focusing on what we have in our hand, nurturing that. Where are we? What have we got? Let's nurture that. And just, yeah, utilizing that in a different way, perhaps. So let's pick a card for the group. Oh, beautiful colours. It's number 40. So we're going back to the Emperor. We're zeroing that down to the 4, which is the Emperor, or 4 tens, which is the wheel. And it's called Her Joy Renders the Impossible Task Possible. Look at the colour. The colour in that. It's just like, well, it's funny enough, very much like the colour in the spray. Very much. Which is just gorgeous. Just take a moment to look at that. So I will look up the cards in a minute because I've only just started working with them. But what I'm really seeing here is that inner child pink, that joy, that heart, that rose opening. Kuan Yin, I can't quite make out in this card whether she's a child or a woman, which feels really relevant right now. our own view of what it means to be a woman and a child, and bringing those together. She's reaching from a young white buffalo towards an older white buffalo. And what I see here is almost like she's the bridge between the two. And the wisdom that comes from that. It almost feels like an infinity and her in the center. Her clothes are so thick and luxurious and warm. She's held. She's held. Even though it looks like she's falling backwards, she's actually held. And the waves are in the background. The water, the emotions, they seem like they're in the background. Energy pool pulling forward. Yes, absolutely. The waves feel like they're in the background. And she's almost flying with it all. And her hair is in the air and flowing, and the colours that she's wearing. Yeah, just gorgeous. The one thing that stands out to me on this card is the elder is almost moving away from Kuan Yin. That's how it feels. That's how it feels to me. Almost like the aged aspect is moving away. So, I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's have a look, see what the book says. So her joy renders the impossible task possible. I have created a big, bold dream in your heart just for you. It will help you fulfill your divine destiny. To manifest this dream, you shall have to give up what you have been holding on to. Interesting, so that really tallies in. So you can instead open your arms to receive. In dropping your ideas of impossibility and stepping into the joy of the journey, your destiny will manifest, and all manner of miracles shall assist you on your way. You shall have such fun in the process of discovering what you are capable of when your heart is open and you believe in me unconditionally. When you leap, do it with joy upon your lips, as you squeal with glee, and know that even the trickiest task shall be made attainable through my grace. So the card speaks about pleasure being the key to success, especially when it comes to taking a leap of faith upon our path. Despite what mainstream culture tend to think, we are not dependent on our life circumstances. High frequencies are not dependent on our life circumstances, and it's about changing that energy. Feeling joy in our heart, becoming more happier, but also making our own happiness. It does say here, and it feels quite relevant to mention this, that if you are ill, tired, fatigued, need to take it on board myself, or finding the idea of summoning joy impossible in itself, then rest. Take it easy and just enjoy this break. Just enjoy this break and sit with it. So at the end of these cards always have a healing process at the end. So I'm going to share that. Think of something that makes your heart feel good. A smile from a loved one, or a beautiful animal, or the feeling of a fantastic waterfall. And then say this prayer. Kuan Yin, who loves me unconditionally, bless me with the ability to feel the wellspring of joy within. Feel that in my solar plexus. So just breathe into the solar plexus. I thank you for the opportunity to live out my destiny with so much gladness in my heart. Thank you for this gift of life, for your many blessings and endless gifts of spiritual grace. May all beings, this one feels quite powerful actually, may all beings be happy and free. So be it. So it goes on to say that the healing process is finished, but to give yourself permission to take time to do something that brings you feelings of happiness and joy. So whatever that is, writing, singing, dancing. I was out in my garden today dancing in the rain and singing. And thankfully my neighbour just, well, I don't know if it's because he doesn't care or I don't care or both. Whatever it is, we just kind of accept each other for who we are. And he looked at me singing and dancing while I was gardening and it was raining and just smiled like, I don't understand you, but whatever. So, yeah, just do something today for yourself. Okay, something that just brings you some joy. And if you're not sure, then just sit with yourself. Just sit and be without filling that gap. Let whatever needs to come in, come in. There's been some big shifts and there's some big changes ahead. As always, this isn't nothing new. What is new or can be new is how we cross that bridge, how we reach the old, go from the old to the new. That's entirely up to us. So maybe that's what needs to be new or change. The compassion and mercy that we show ourselves. So have a lovely day, Helen. You are the only one here, so I really hope that helped. Yeah, and everyone else can watch on catch up. And it would be really interesting for those that did do the womb rites to see how the story is unfolding for you. Like I say, yesterday with the spray and the rose and the grandmother energy that came in, I spoke of the old story and I spoke that my grandmother was always with me. And last night I dreamt of her. Today she's been around with lots and lots of messages coming through about how I can change my story so that it changes her story, which ultimately changes the story of the earth. So that healing goes back through all our ancestors, and it also goes forward. You know, imagine walking a certain path, doing certain things so that those to come wouldn't have to do it, and then watching our loved ones repeat that. By healing ourselves, we heal their journey too. So lots and lots and lots of love. If you've got, if you're having, I know a lot of us have concerns with self-love, which is often ancestral. Take that moment to love yourself so that what they went through wasn't in vain. And you'll feel it. You'll feel it just come straight back. Yeah, so have a lovely day. Have and do something incredible. Write the next chapter of the story. So have a wonderful day. I'm really pleased you enjoyed that, Helen. I'm really pleased. It seemed like it was just for you. Well, it wasn't, it was for the group, but yeah, seemed poignant that you were here as well. So have a lovely day to you and to anyone that's watching this on Catch Up. Take care. Bye.